Hello viewers, welcome to Hebrew class for beginners. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, like and share to help a friend enjoy too. Stay tuned for more upcoming videos with our tutor Dan Goldstein. You can learn Hebrew to pursue your passion of traveling or living in Israel, to secure scholarship in United States, as they recommend Hebrew speakers for government-related careers. You can also take this challenge to enable positive mind growth, to succeed in business and technology, to read Hebrew, Bible, and literature with ease. All this at your own pace. We usually post the videos in a regular basis in Tutor Dan Goldstein-USA YouTube channel. Learn Hebrew for your personal and community benefits with a real tutor, teaching a real audience virtually. Welcome to today's class. Thanks for watching.
We're continuing to look at some of the syllabification rules. These are the rules of accent and pronunciation, how to break up a word into parts, which help us to simplify our pronunciation of more complex words and longer words. And we've looked at several rules relating to syllables. We are talking about open and closed syllables, for example. The open syllable being a consonant and a vowel combined, and the closed being a consonant, vowel, and consonant closing the syllable. We also looked at the idea of accents, and that most Hebrew words accent on the last syllable. But as we proceed, we'll discover that there are exceptions to those rules. And one of those exceptions happens to be in the case of two short vowels coming together. It will be helpful over the next lessons if we review the vowel chart that breaks the vowels into short and long vowels. The short vowels tend to be stronger vowels which take accents more regularly. The tsere and the segol are both short vowels. So the first of the two short vowels is accented. Sefer. Repeat after me, sefer.
Perfect.
Sefer. Sefer. Well done. Very nice. Then we looked at a three-syllable word, and we reinforced the notion that a shva under a single consonant, a consonant plus a shva also constitutes an open syllable. And we determined that this word has three syllables, and it's pronounced how, Joseph? Or Gideon, either one kindly. The pronunciation of this word on the screen. Yes, go ahead.
Devarim.
Right, devarim, correct.
Then.
And that means words.
Words.
Yes, go on. Words, yeah.
So de is an open syllable.
Correct.
Va is also an open syllable. Then rim is a closed syllable.
Well done. And again, I think this analysis helps us to break words down into simpler parts and give us a chance at pronouncing words.
I can see a dot inside the dalet.
Correct.
Yes.
That dot is called a dagesh.
Yes, dagesh.
And there are 6 letters in the Hebrew alphabet: Bet, Gimel, Daled, Kaf, pay, and tav, where sometimes there's a dot inside and sometimes there's not. These are known as the beged kefet, which is actually a rosh teva, an abbreviation for the 6 consonants that take occasionally this dot, which is called dagesh. It's a hardening of the pronunciation. We only understand in our day a couple of the differences. We understand in the German style of pronunciation that a tav without the dot is pronounced sav, but modern Israeli doesn't recognize that difference. The only differences that we are used to are in the bet. When the bet loses its dot, it becomes vet. We're familiar with the kaf. When the kaf loses its dot, it becomes chaf. And we're familiar with the pay. When the pay loses its dot, it becomes fe. So these beged kefet consonants take their dagesh or dot when they begin a word. So you would not see a word starting with vet, for example.
Question.
Or a word starting with chaf, for that matter.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can the dagesh
Okay.
confuse someone with a shuruk? Huh? The u sound. Can it confuse?
So if there was a dagesh, a possibility of a dagesh in a side of vav, for example,
Yes.
then it would look like the shuruk.
Yes.
But the dagesh only occurs in the 6 letters bet, gimel, dalet, kaf, pei, and tav. It doesn't occur in the vav, so there's no concern that maybe what you look at as a shuruk is actually a beged kefet, is actually a dagesh inside the vav, because the dagesh won't live inside a vav. It only lives inside the beged kefet letters.
Yes. Understood.
Right. Then we proceeded to understand 2 different usages of the shva. We understand that sometimes the shva is silent and functions as a pausal. What exactly does that mean to us, Gideon? Can you help us understand these uses of the shva on the page? And I'll expand, open up the, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it means when a shiva is in the second syllable, then it means it will be silent when immediately preceded by a short vowel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So in case of the word that is presented there, therefore, it means that the shiva is not vocalized. It is silent.
Correct. It's effective. You could also say that it's closing the syllable. It's closing the syllable.
Okay.
So its job is only to close the syllable, not to be a pronounced vowel.
Okay.
And how would the pronunciation again of that first word go, Gideon?
Pario.
So actually you always want to make a pause on the schwa and make sure we don't give it any sort of a pronunciation. So we would just want to say par.
Yeah. Pario.
Are you cooking some eggs over there or something, or somebody cooking something over there? Sounds like there's some cooking going on. Joseph, is your audio connection not ideal tonight?
I'm getting you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm getting a lot of additional sounds in the background, like frying sounds, something like that.
Sorry.
Maybe that's my own. That's better, but I'm not sure what that means. It sounds like. Have you guys cut off entirely now? Am I completely cut off? Oh, you're both. I see. Okay, you've both muted. Okay. The other instances of the shva are if there are two shvas side by side. And one example of that would be the second example on this page, where we have the shva under the shin, and that closes the first syllable, creates a closed syllable that we pronounce mish. I welcome you guys to unmute your audio despite the interference, because I feel somewhat abandoned without your participation. So please feel free to unmute. So we have three syllables in this word: mish, pe, te.
Mish tete.
Mish,
Mishpete.
well done. Very, very nice. Mish pete. Very nice. And lastly, we have two shvas that end the word. And this is probably the least obvious instance of a closed syllable. We have an open syllable, ka, and then we have the second syllable, which would be tav, that, tav, tavt, such that we have katavt.
Kataft.
Nice, katavt. And it means she wrote in the past tense. She wrote. Aliandika, I guess.
Yeah.
We have also shvas that begin the words for us, just like the instances of beged kefet, bet gimel daled, and so on, that begin words is when we get that dagesh or dot inside. We also have rules relating to the beginning of words and the shva. And the rule is simply that the shva is a pronounced or vocalized shva. And it also finishes off an open syllable. So, Joseph, how would you divide up this first word into syllables and then pronounce it for us?
Beraka.
What is the first syllable?
The first syllable is be,
Right.
ra.
Right.
The third one is ka.
Actually, cha.
Is ha.
Right. Very good. And the pronunciation again?
Beraka. Beracha.
Brach. Very nice. Bracha. Bracha. That means blessing.
Beracha.
Very nice. Very nice, Gideon, as we've learned. Then the next one is the same instance we had before of two shvas in the middle of a word. Now we're focusing on the function of the second shva, which is to be vocalized. So we rest on the first shva, and then the second shva is vocalized. Gideon, could you break this one into syllables for us and pronounce it?
Yes.
Okay.
First, we have hum. That is the first syllable. Then
I was looking at the line. I was looking at line number 2. The
number
word
2. I'm
that's
sorry.
part of the right. That's quite okay.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. So it is first. The word is pronounced as mishpete.
Beautiful.
Then
And the breakdown
then
of
mish.
it. Right.
Yeah, mish is the first syllable. Pet,
Right.
the second syllable. te,
Right.
the third syllable, and
Very
mish
good.
is a closed syllable. Pe, an
Correct.
open. Te is also an open syllable.
Well done. And Joseph, would you like to do the analysis on number 3?
Yes. Cot beam.
No, the paragraph number 3, the word above, one word above.
Sorry.
That's okay. And maybe I'm not showing it clearly on the
I
screen.
can see it. Ham.
Okay,
Ham.
good.
Hamlakim.
Hamelakim.
Hamlachim.
Right. Well done. Well done both.
Ham.
Hamlachim. That means, yeah.
Ham is a closed syllable
Right.
because it ends with the
Consonant.
ashva. Ashva doesn't have a vocalization.
Right.
So
Right.
it acts as a closing. So the mem is closing that syllable.
Right.
The second one is la, which is open syllable.
Good.
Kim, closed
Very good.
syllable. Kim,
Right. Chim.
closed syllable.
Right. Very good. By the way, just as a reminder, this yud final mem, or even you could say the chirik yud final mem, the im, is the masculine plural. So the word we're looking at here, you could even say the shoresh is mem lamed chaf, malach, which means to rule. And the word melech means ruler or king. Ha melech, we recall from the little bit we've looked at prepositions and prefixes, ha is the Hebrew for, do you recall? What does ha mean?
Female.
It's the. Ha means the.
Yes.
So ha melech would be the king. Hamlachim is the kings. Okay, Gideon, you're up. Let's try to break
Yes.
down instance number 4.
Okay. So we have Kotevim.
Beautiful. And how would you break it down?
So we have kot, an open syllable. Che is also an open syllable. Then vim is a closed syllable.
Very good. And I will remind all of us that in natural spoken Hebrew, it flows very smoothly. So some of these syllabic breakdowns wouldn't be so obvious. But the cholam is a long syllable as opposed to the, for example, the patach. Like we had ham. It starts with a hey patach. We know that's a short vowel, and then it's followed by the consonant and the shva. There's a rule about that, and that becomes a closed syllable. The cholam and kotvim is a long vowel, so it tends to be a syllable, an open syllable, as you correctly identified it, and as the page also shows. So we could arguably say kotvim, and that would be correct.
2 syllables.
When we speak, 3. Well, I tried to do it as 3. I tried to say kotvim, but correct. In modern pronunciation, in normal everyday speech, it would sound like kotvim, which sounds more like 2 syllables. So at some point, this analysis sort of breaks down against the reality of how words are pronounced. But I think largely it's going to be a very helpful tool for us in terms of pronunciation. We can actually continue with, I don't really want to get too much into this because this is a bit esoteric, but there's something a little further on that is worthy of our review. It's called Furtive Patach. And it refers to the fact that the Patach is pronounced before the vowel instead of after the vowel. And it happens when you have a chet or an ayin at the end of a word. You see, for example, in the upper right corner of these columns of Hebrew words, you see the word bo, re, and then you have the chet with a patach under it. Our understanding would be bo, re, cha, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But it's actually bo, reach. Bo, reach.
Boreach.
And yeah. And actually, the minute you pronounce it, you understand that it probably evolved naturally from what's comfortable for speakers in everyday usage, that it simply flows, borecha, boreach, just flows more naturally to finish with that chaf sound rather than having to push that chaf sound out before the vowel, which is difficult for us. And it's less obvious with the ayin because the ayin is silent anyway. So it's really that chet that's a phenomenon called furtive patach, and instead of borecha, we would say boreach. So why don't you give Gideon the last word in the right-hand column that starts with the resh? Let's try to pronounce that, given this new rule that we've learned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ruach.
Yeah, ruach. That means spirit, like haruach hakadosh means the Holy Spirit, for example.
Kadosh.
Okay, ruach kadosh, a
So-
Holy Spirit. Haruach hakadosh, the Holy Spirit.
Ruach.
Yeah. And again, this concept of articles is actually foreign to Kiswahili. But in Hebrew, if we say ruach, we're saying a spirit. Or if we say ruach kadosh, we're saying a Holy Spirit. So it could be, it's not specific. If we say ha ruach ha kadosh, we're saying the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit, ha ruach, the Spirit, ha ruach ha kadosh, the Holy Spirit. It's like that. Let's see what other goodies we have here. Maybe that's enough. Maybe we'll jump right into some. Let's take one more because I think we've seen instances of this already. Yeah, please. You had a question still, Joseph.
So that was Patach. How do we call that effect of the Patach at the end of the syllable?
It's furtive, which
Furtive
means that
Patach.
it right. I think furtive means when something moves secretly from one place to another. So the burglar moved furtively through the bush. He moved like in a secret way through the bush. The patach moved furtively through the het. The patach made a sneaky move from the beginning, from pronouncing after the chet, he snuck over to being pronounced before the chet. That's a furtive patach for you. And they're especially furtive in Nairobi. Okay. This last bit is something that we've come into contact with already, and that's these Alephs, which
Patach.
are silent also in the middle of words. And as we understand Shorshim, our roots better, we understand that it deserves its place there, even though it's not pronounced, because the Shoresh is Chet, Tet, Aleph, Chata, to sin. A Chatat in the Bible, in Leviticus specifically, is a sin offering. It's one of the variety of sin offerings that are enumerated in the book of Leviticus. So Chatat gets an Aleph in there, which is unpronounced. And because grammarians like to give everything a name, they gave this Aleph the name Quescent. And unfortunately, I can't be as clever explaining Quescent as I tried to be with Furtive. But I think it has something to do with the fact that it's unpronounced and sort of disappears. But we can look up Quiescent sometime. When I'm up in Kiran Yaga, we can look up words like Furtive and Quiescent and make sentences from them. But anyway, yeah, so we're going to see some examples of that. And with that, guys, let's get into some advanced reading and give you a good opportunity to fully practice a whole bunch of good concepts that you've had now and are solidifying. So this is actually a pretty exciting moment in terms of really being able to advance well. Let's give you one more warm up. I'm not even sure you need it, but I had in my mind that maybe the last few letters of the alphabet, it wouldn't hurt for us to look at together real quickly once more. Forgive me, I'm trying to find my way here. Okay, I think I know where we are. Here we go. Let's jump all the way to the last, or anyway, nearly the last page of drills. And let's see if we don't find some challenges here. Gideon, I think line 1 will be a great way to reinforce this idea of how we can break down long words to successfully pronounce them. Go through it at your own pace, brother.
Okay. Mim,
Me,
Mish,
Mish.
Mishe,
No, it's really the same. I would say that the exercise is confusing. But it's effectively, you would never see you would never see the second instance in real Hebrew. It's just a way of giving us a progression. So Mish and Mish, it's the same.
okay.
Yeah.
Cheno, Cheno,
And that's correct. Kino, kaf is correct. Kino. So now we start to combine.
Mishe,
Again, this is a closed syllable that ends with the shin, niche. I guess it's confusing because you're not seeing it in context, but it's a closed syllable. It's just mish.
okay, Mish,
Yeah.
Keno, Het, Kenotre, Koneter,
Almost. Well done. Almost. This is a chaf sofit with the kamat, so it's techa, techa, techa.
Kenotecha.
so Kenotecha,
Exactly. Well done. Now put it all together. Mish.
Mish Kenotecha,
Right. it means your tabernacle or your tabernacles. So Matovu Ohalecha Adonai Mishkenotecha Beit Yaakov, or Matovu Ohalecha Mishkenotecha Yaakov. How goodly are your tents, your tabernacles, O Jacob, Mishkenotecha, your tabernacles. And again, that the root in that whole giant word, the root is you want to take a guess at the root, Joseph?
The roots.
Yeah, there's a root in there.
Yes. The rule I can.
So
I can see there are two shugas.
Oh no, not the rule, the root, the shoresh. Can you take a guess at the shoresh?
Mish. The first two.
So me is a prefix, is a preposition, which means it's a way of in this case it's a prefix which forms a noun. So it's a formative prefix. And the oat is the feminine plural, just like im is the masculine plural, the oat is the feminine plural, and echa is the feminine plural possessive, yours, like your tabernacles, your tents. So actually, shin kaf nun is the shoresh in this case, which means shachan or shikain, to rest. So from the root that means to rest, we get mishkenot, which is dwelling places or tabernacles. And what do we do in dwelling places and tabernacles? We
Praise.
rest.
Oh,
So that's right. Right.
Oh, yes.
So that's where the shoresh comes in. But you know, and so Joseph, you give a try. Yeah, either a tent. Well, actually, ohel is the word for tent. Mishkan is another word for tent, but it denotes something a little of a somewhat different structure, and specifically when it's relating to the temple, the ancient temple in Jerusalem. We call it or the traveling Mishkan, not the temple in Jerusalem, but the Mishkan in the wilderness. That was the portable temple that the Jews carried with them in the wilderness, and whenever they camped, they set that Mishkan up, and they performed their rituals and their sacrifices and their service to God in that Mishkan in the wilderness. So it can have the meaning of tent, but it has there's more of a permanence, like a structural,
Movable.
more sophisticated structural element to it.
It was
Movable, yeah,
it was
and
something
movable. That's right. And it was specifically the Levites that had the responsibility for building up and breaking down the Mishkan whenever God would tell the Jews to camp or to break camp during the 40 years in the desert. And there's a story about Moses and the walls of the Mishkan were these giant beams of cedar wood. Now, there's a whole nother story about how they got cedar wood. The short of it is that when Jacob moved down to Egypt, one of the first things he did is he planted cedar trees in Egypt because he had a prophecy, a vision, that the people would need started their journey in the wilderness. So anyway, at the end of the day, they had these 10-foot high beams, which were of cedar and constituted the walls of the tabernacle. And they say Moses was both strong enough and tall enough by himself to raise one of these heavy 10-foot beams. Anyway, that's the story. Joseph, why don't you take a turn at one of these progressive building up of words? I think 6 will give you a nice long word at the end. So why don't you try line 6?
Okay. Sha.
And again, I'm going to give, good. Go on.
Shach.
Nice.
Shach.
Right, you understand very well.
Becha.
Well done. And Gideon, I think we begin to see how this would be a situation where maybe initially we'd think, well, B, can't that just be an open syllable on its own? But I guess you could say there's a certain element of it being obvious that when it's followed by this chaf, sofit, you really need to combine the two into a syllable, which Joseph correctly did, becha. Go on, Joseph. Well done. Well done.
Beshach.
Nice.
Becha.
Yup. Now put her together, brother.
Beshach. Becha. Beshach becha.
Right. And I'll give over to you a little bit on this word as well. But first, Gideon, you wanna take a stab at the shorish, at the root? Which letters constitute the root of this one?
The rule or the root?
The root, the shorish.
So I think.
So in this case, yeah, go ahead.
So I think in that case the shiva, the second shiva from the buttons, I think is not supposed to be pronounced. I think it is supposed to be silent.
The shva under the chaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. That's our rule of 2 shvas in a row. The first one would be silent. That's correct. But what I was getting at is we discussed these 3-letter roots or shorshim and how many Hebrew words are built up from these basic fundamental 3-letter roots. And in this case, in the word bishach becha, we have a bet at the beginning, which means in or with, and we have the cha at the end, which means your. It's a masculine singular possessive, your house, your boat, your goat. So the roots, the root letters are the shin, the chaf, and the bet, shachav, and that means to lie down or to rest. And in this case, b'shach b'cha means when you rest, in your resting, you could say. But a normal translation would be when you rest. And actually, the verse that it occurs in is in what we call the Shema, which is the declaration of the unity of God. You shall recite these words, b'shach b'cha u'v'kumecha, when you lie down, in your lying down, and in your rising up, u'v'kumecha, and in your rising up, b'shach b'cha u'v'kumecha. And also in that same prayer, we have u'v'lechtecha baderach. And here we have another case where we could do a shorish analysis. And that's just a brand new introduction, you guys, to something brand new for you. And it's a whole new topic which you're ready to start exploring with me. But don't be overwhelmed by it. There's a lot to do with shorshim, and we've, gradually been introducing shorshim as we've gone along. But we'll alternate words. Line 12, Gideon and Joseph, you can each take a turn at a word, and then we'll close with some of our plans for the next few weeks. I can't wait to get up to Kiryat Yaga and chill with you guys. But let's each take a turn at word by word in line 12, and then we can close out the recording and talk a little bit. So Joseph, you want to get us started?
Yes. Yish
Okay. And finish her off. There's a kamatz in that chaf sofit, so it has to be a cha.
Yishecha. Yishecha.
Beautiful, beautiful. That means your salvation. Like for a Christian man, you might say, I'm sorry?
For a masculine.
Like,
to a man.
What does that mean?
Because of the ending.
Yeah, it's masculine, right? Exactly. For a feminine, it would be yishech, and that would turn into a tsere, and it would be a chaf with a shva inside. Yishech is your salvation to a woman, and yishecha is your salvation to a man. Gideon, you want to give the next word a shot? And take your time and think through your decisions about breaking it into syllables first thing. That would be the thought process.
Gideon.
So do you recall this first letter? That would be. Did we lose Gideon? Is that why it was silent for so long?
Yeah, I am here.
Gideon's back now. Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me bring up the.
You have unshared.
I'm trying to find the. I know. I may have even closed it out by mistake. One moment, please. And I need to reshare it as you said. So we were on line 12, Gideon, and I was hoping that you would try to pronounce the second word on line 12.
I didn't get you.
So I was hoping that you would pronounce the second word on line 12.
Okay, let me try.
Okay.
Hina Rayan. Hinarayan.
So I think the first step. Hold on, guys. Let's take this a step at a time. Gideon.
Oh.
Okay.
T.
What letter are we looking? What is that first letter? I think maybe is it too small? Is that part of the problem? Let's blow it up a little bit. What's that first letter of the word?
Tough.
It is het. Tet.
Right. Right,
Tough?
that's our chet.
Oh, het.
Tet.
A chet.
Yeah, het, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
and its vowel is a chirik.
Yeah.
And this in itself is an open syllable. So our first event would be chi.
He, yeah.
Hivaria.
That would be chi. And then we would proceed to analyzing the next syllable. Which what would be the next syllable in this word, Gideon? In your
Vav.
opinion.
So the first syllable is
So
va.
here we have one. The first syllable is chi.
And the second
The
is
second
va.
syllable is an var,
Var.
and that's right, var. And we know that there's a rule where there's a short vowel, in this case often a patach,
So
followed by the second consonant. So we have a consonant. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
so it is Hivarian.
There you right. That's the way to do it. Right. Yeah, that's the nun sophie. Right. Very nice. Chivarian. Joseph, give the next word a try, kindly. And be mindful of the syllable breakdown and see if we all agree on the syllable analysis first off.
Pe.
I'm with you so far.
Be.
I agree so far.
Yes. The third one.
Mm-hmm. The third one is what?
Atecha.
So
Beir.
this is an
Atecha.
open syllable, just the Aleph. Well done. Well, very nice pronunciation. Very nice. I would argue that the Aleph and the Kamats are a syllable, an open syllable. So we have be, yir, techa. Techa is the closed one there. Nice. Gideon, the next one, please.
Okay. Hasdeha.
There you go. Give me the syllable breakdown.
Ha. Se. Deha. Hasdeha. So there are three.
Does that make sense?
Be.
Why would you think that we have this rule call that a consonant followed by the short vowel patach followed by another consonant and the shva? That's a very common instance of a closed vowel. So most likely the first syllable of a closed syllable is most likely the first syllable would be chas.
Has.
Deha.
Ha.
Right, chas dacha. Right, right.
There are three.
So, yeah, you could argue that. That's a little tricky, and I wouldn't fight you with that. De, you're thinking of the de and the cha as separate syllables, and I can understand that. And that's where I don't go too crazy with it, because my main goal is as a tool to improve our pronunciation. But I would encourage you to be mindful of this is a very, very common combination, this short vowel and then followed by another consonant in the shva, a short vowel followed by a consonant in the shva, the yir, b is open, yir is closed, chas is closed, yish is closed, like that. Those are very common instances of closed vowels. It's very rare that you get a vocalized shva. The rule is the only time you get a vocalized shva inside of a word is the second of two words, the second of two shvas. So the first shva would be, by definition, a pause, not, yeah, right, by definition would be silent. All right, that's excellent work. This really takes, I think, takes it to the next level of application, not just theoretical understanding, but now we're really doing some application. And this also becomes second nature as you read more Hebrew.